Hello and welcome to your special guest series. This is Alex Muir, your host of the Mindset Podcast. And in today's episode of our special guest series, we're going to be talking with Swami S. Tirtha, spiritual guide, speaker, best-selling author, and TV host and producer. And please welcome Swami S. Tirtha to the podcast. And this episode is brought to you by RadioGuestList.com, the #1 free radio guest, podcast, and talk show guest expert interview booking service on the internet. So mention again how you were mentioning how you know Dean A. Roberts.
Yeah, so we were many years. So we would meet once a week and have our little mastermind group. Just the two of us. Sometimes other people join us, but for years we did that. And now it's just evolved to we're just always in a mastermind, whatever we're talking. So
right on. Yeah. And I feel like, it's so key to have your advisors or mentors or, people that are kind of on the same wavelength as you, that you can have those conversations with, each week, kind of like an accountability partner, because it just helps you stay on track towards your goals. And especially if you have big aspirations, you need that kind of support, right? Especially from some friends and advisors. So it really helps having that support system.
Yeah. You do that yourself?
Yeah. As much as I can. I mean, it's a little bit more challenging as of late. So what I've been doing actually is I've been utilizing my guests on my podcast for their wisdom and their insight, because unfortunately I haven't been able to connect with as many of my friends and colleagues as I have before the pandemic. So it's probably because of, partly because of the pandemic, but, also because people are still so busy and, there's still a lot of my friends and colleagues that are working and I'm not. So I'm trying to use this time to really build connections with people online, because I really want to build my brand online. And it took me a little while to figure out kind of the medium I wanted to do it on. But so far, podcasting has been the most funnest experience to connect with people by far.
I loved interviewing people. I have a TV show called Talking with Our Angels.
Yeah.
I've interviewed people for 2 years. Well, I have 2 seasons. I have 2 years, 4 seasons. And I asked people, what their when they're angels or God or spirit, whatever they call it, when they gave them advice and they followed it, and how it brought them more joy. So it's a purely targeted show that's very unique. It's like I plug people's stuff, but we don't talk too much about what they do. It's a different kind of a show, and it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. And for our listeners to know, tell us a little bit more about the show. Now, I dug deep a little bit into some research on your show, and I saw some big names in there. There was the actress who played the mom in E.T. was one of the most, Dee Wallace, was it?
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
That's
my biggest star. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, and I like it how you give kind of snippets of your show on your blog or your website of all the guests, and then you have kind of a photo of all the guests you've had on, and you've got an extensive interview database in there. So that's really awesome.
Yeah. So it's and to have people from all walks of let me turn off the figure here. To have people from all walks of life talk about how the spirit or angels. I mean, I have business people, I have dancers, I have musicians, I have a 12-year-old boy, 10 or 12. His dad is an entrepreneur, and he taught him to be an entrepreneur. And he has got all these businesses in grade school. And so I have a girl who's 10 years old. When I interviewed her, she's she wins all these music singing awards all around the country. So and she sings angel songs. So it just it's for my need is to bring light to the world and bring joy to the world. And so to have a show that just talks about the joy in a very real way, in a very practical way. Like I don't know if you saw the Dee Wallace show, but in this show I play a game called Playing Games with Our Angels. And so I say, okay, Angel, at this moment, tell Dee something that will bring her even more joy. And we take like 3 seconds of silence. And then she starts tearing up. And she goes, "Oh, my. And I say, "What?" She goes, "They told me that so-and-so is going to be all right." And she was just tears of joy. And how profound that was for people to see how easy it is to get relief and benefit. There's no middleman, it's you and spirit. So.
Yeah, no, it's remarkable how, and I really like how you have this kind of spiritual background, because I wouldn't say that I'm a religious person, but I would say that I'm a spiritual person, and spiritual in the sense that I'm very big into meditation and to yoga like yourself. Yoga has helped me immensely with my recovery in between workout sessions. And because I don't have access to the gym right now, I've actually bought a body weight training program because I really want to hone in on some really intense body weight exercises, like one-legged pistol squats, handstand push-ups, and then work my way up in the future to one-arm chin-ups. So they're really advanced moves, but by the time the gyms open up again, which will be, quite some time, if I master these moves, like I'll be in such a great position to go back to free weights. Because I'll be built. It's like I've rebuilt that foundation of strength again, right? So
very cool. Yeah. I did the same thing. I have 2 programs I got off the internet. One was a build your core, but not the standard core, the deeper core. And it says you could do this lying down in bed, and you really can. And then I just got another program to be able to stretch your legs out on the floor, like you see these, dancers do. And it's this guy from Vienna who teaches you how to do this, and he says within like a few months you'll be able to do it. And it's really good for guys, it's good for the prostate and all that, good for horseback riding, and it's just good to open up all that hip area that we.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like especially as we age, right? It's really important to keep working on that flexibility, however you choose to do it. Whether it be just deep stretching or yoga or, some sort of other routine, as long as you're figuring out other ways to challenge your body with those stretches and hold, like doing isometric holds. That was something that Dean talked about in our previous podcast episode. Yeah. He's really trying to emphasize the isometric holds or concentration on, isolating certain muscle groups.
Yeah, I've come to some of that myself, and even this guy who does the leg stretch he uses it to you do an isometrics against the muscles that are tight, and then they kind of say, "Okay, well, you're going to be tight. I might as well let go," and it really works. It's pretty. So, this is my. I mean, as a Swami, I kind of live this way in what we're calling lockdown, but I live up in the country, and I go to town once or twice a week, and the rest of the time we're just out here in the country. So it's always been like this for me.
Right on. So you're used to it.
Yeah. So it's nice to have no cars drive by, and normally there's no cars driving by, but there's even less now.
No, for sure. Yeah. And I bet it is nice to have like a little bit less traffic on the road and stuff, because it probably can get pretty busy, right? Or maybe not.
Not really up here, but still just the extra quiet. You just can go really deep into your contemplations.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No, for sure.
Yeah. And then you step outside and you got this fresh air, you got nature all around you. I mean, you could go to a park to do that too, but this way you don't have to think about, am I breaking any laws? There's no lockdown on your property.
Yeah.
You can do that. Go look at the deer and go by the waterfall, and it's all good.
Yeah, it's like you can do all that nature bathing right in your own backyard, and there's nothing beats that.
And you're in California, right?
No, actually, I'm actually in Canada. Yeah, West Coast. Yeah. Oh, okay. So you're all the way in the East Coast and near New York?
Yes. Yeah. Well, about 4 hours north of the city. Closer to Toronto, probably.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, you sounded like a Canadian, but when you said West Coast, I just thought...
like Seattle or California? Yeah.
here in California, but yeah, okay, that makes sense. So you're in what?
Oh,
British
so West Coast in Canada, so in British Columbia.
Yeah.
So it's like near, West Coast. We're like super close to California. Like if I go to the Vancouver airport, it's like a 3 hour plane ride to California. It's super short. Sometimes it's like 2.5 hours, depending on how busy they are.
That's a beautiful place. I was up there once or twice.
Oh yeah, it's super nice. It's a lot like California. Like it's very lush. It's very lush here. Like lots of green, lots of mountains. Tons of ocean. Like I'm a sucker for the ocean. But the thing is, I love to be around like the beach and palm trees. So like that's why I've never really wanted to leave where I live, because in British Columbia there's the mainland and there's the island. And near Vancouver, everyone there's all this hype about Hollywood North, which we call Vancouver, right? Or they call it Hollywood North. Because Vancouver is like another, place in British Columbia where there's a lot of movies done. There's been some movies done, on the West Coast here, and it's very busy and, bustling city and stuff. But then on the other hand, if you want something more low key and really chilled out atmosphere, good vibes as well, then you go to the island, which is 2 hours away from Vancouver. And then you still got all the mountains, you still got the ocean, and it's still really like laid back. So it just depends on personal preference. I'm not much of a city guy. I love visiting the city and I love the amenities, but I'm definitely more like a country guy like yourself. Like I like to, more of a homebody, like to be at home and, do my, my meditation practice and think those big ideas. And you can do that more, I find, when you're in more of a town environment or out in the country. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Are you a Cancer zodiac sign?
Oh no, I'm actually not. I'm a Aquarius.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are home buddies. That's what I thought.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I definitely need. I notice that I'm a homebody for the majority of the time, but I definitely, after a few months or whatever, I definitely feel like I'm like, okay, I'm ready for like a quick trip somewhere, or planning a extended vacation to Mexico or somewhere hot.
Yeah, you guys up in Canada, when you go on vacation for the winter, you go on vacation for the whole winter down
there. They call them snowbirds. Yeah.
But it's like, I was in some island once, and the Canadians there were there the whole winter. It's like very cool.
Oh yeah. It's incredible. Like some of the retirees from Canada, they'll go literally for 6 months or 3 months or even a month. They'll go to Florida. My grandparents, for years, they went to Palm Springs. They love Palm Springs in California. They would take their RV there they did that for like 25 years. But now that they're getting close to they're in their 80s now. It's just, because of their health, they're not really allowed to because of, insurance and all that. So,
right. They have to,
but,
self-drive.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I was doing a little bit more research on you as well for the, like kind of your speaking engagements as well. And some other stuff that you do. And you were able to speak inside the White House about complementary or alternative medicine techniques.
Okay.
For stress reduction and stuff like that.
Yeah. Just to be clear.
Okay.
In the White House, the White House complementary medicine, alternative medicine group traveled around the country. And so they were in all the major cities, and then they invited people to come and present. So I went to New York City and presented in front of the council.
Okay. So they're mobile and they come to different states.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool. Right on.
Yeah, that was the second Bush administration. That's when that happened. George W., I guess they called him. So,
gotcha. So that's George W. Bush Jr., right?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Well, George W., I think, is the junior.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So I presented Ayurvedic medicine to them, and that was a pretty interesting experience, being around all those people from the White House. You could feel the White House vibe, the really serious, dignified, button down. It was real cool to feel that vibe there.
That's awesome. And then this Ayurveda, like kind of medicine techniques or stress reduction techniques. What kind of therapy is that or practice?
Yeah, so Ayurveda it stands for life science, basically life med, and it's comes from India, and it's a very whole integrated approach to natural healing. It covers foods, it covers all your senses, aromas and colors, meditation and yoga, exercise. And the key to it is that instead of saying, well, what is one size fits all, it says, well, wait a second, people are different. And some people need some things. Some people need a hard workout. Some people need light workouts. Some people broccoli. Some people broccoli gives them gas. So it's a very once you figure out your constitution or dosha, air, fire, water, basically, and then there's in every food category there's something that balances you. Every aromatherapy category, something that balances you, and so that way you're really customizing a healthcare program for yourself, and that way there's no side effect. There's no healing crisis like there is in Western holistic healing. So I'll give you an example. A client of mine was manager of a health food store, and her husband had some heart surgery, and she gave him garlic because garlic is good for the heart. And the doctors gave him a clean bill of health, and they said, "You're fine now." And he says, "I don't feel like I'm fine." So when he came to see me, he's a fire person, and garlic is fire, very hot. I said, well, it's good for the heart, but not for your heart because it's adding fire to fire. So I gave him another herb that's cooling, that's good for the heart. And he goes, now I feel better. So it's a really cool, tailor-made suit approach to healing.
Very interesting. Yeah. Because I always find it remarkable, like the kind of, natural, or how do you say it? Naturopath, or alternative medicine techniques, because I'm really big into, health and wellness and any healthy ways without having to take pills or anything like that to help, de-stress or, build a better body or just relieve the stress and tension from the body. I'm all ears and open to, trying out for myself as well.
Yeah. The mind body. So Ayurveda, this is like a 10,000-year-old science. It said way back when that the cause of most physical diseases is due to poor digestion. And when I started this back in the 80s, the doctors laughed at that. But now we're talking about the gut biome. And look at that. Ayurveda was right. They had it right the whole time.
Yeah. They call digestion or your gut the second brain because if your gut's off, your thinking is going to be all out of whack and warped. At least for myself, it's like that. I probably know other people can relate as well. But when your gut's off, you can't come up with the same ideas. You're not as laser focused. So you really gotta, that's why nutrition is so important, because you really got to hone in on what's going to help you keep a healthy brain and healthy digestion.
Right, exactly right. And that's what I found is that once I cleared up people's digestion, I saw that stress was causing the poor digestion because the vagus nerve goes from the brain down to the stomach. And so I had to, once I got to the root cause of the physical, then I saw there was a deeper root cause, the stresses. So then I addressed the stresses with aromatherapy and mantras and things of that nature. And then as that got better, then I found that the life purpose or the spirituality of the person, if that was off, that was causing the stress, the tension. And so then I would address, as you said, the spirituality, not the religion. I respect everybody's religion. But there's whatever your religion is, I point you in a direction to develop it more. And it could just be going outside or petting a dog or riding a horse or talking to your friends, painting a picture, helping people. It could be anything that brings you peace and expands you to somebody bigger than you are at the moment.
Yeah. And I like how you talk about, as far as your brand's concerned, helping people discover what their inner true passion is or what makes them tick. And you really help them hone in on that by all of your different principles with aiding with digestion or, more gratitude, more meditation. And everyone, like you said, has everyone's custom. It's all a custom approach. But what would be a piece of advice that you'd give someone that's like, they might be younger or might be older, but they're just, they feel kind of lost, and they're like, and they're doing all the necessary steps. They're doing that self-discovery. They've been experimenting with different things, but they're like, I want that aha moment, or I'm trying to find that, that true calling of mine. How do you help people discover that?
That's a really good question, Alex. That's a really good question. One answer is helping them find life purpose through astrology. We could find that in the chart, either the Indian chart from India or the Western chart. But a layperson, just for anybody offhand, do what you love, do what brings you peace or joy. It's not those big aha moments. It's the little ones that go to develop the big ones. And so if you paint pictures, if you love to paint, and then you think, I feel guilty having so much fun, I should be at work. Make sure you do some of that. I think that's where we are right now. This whole pandemic is forcing us to stay home and find ourselves, and people are doing puzzles and painting and walking, and we're coming into the age of celebration. Okay, I'll probably need to explain that, but my guy told me the end of this year, December 21st, the winter solstice, we go into a new age. The industrial age is literally over. Astronomically, when Jupiter and Saturn meet in a certain position in the sky, and we switch out of the Earth-based planets and go into the air-based planets. I just said a lot of stuff there, I know, but so the point is, though, this is the time for everybody to learn to not feel guilty and learn to have fun, because we're coming into a time of grace, global grace. Doesn't look like it at the moment.
Yeah.
But it's clearing out now to do something.
Yeah. No, for sure. And in a way, I think it is definitely a kind of a deep awakening of the human spirit. Like it's a way for everyone to reflect on, are they happy in what they're doing? Right. Do they want to make change? Do they like what they're currently doing, or do they want to evolve into something else? Or I like that part of it. I like that it's given me time to really reflect on career and business and relationships, and kind of relationships I want to build for the future. So, I see, in this pandemic, I've witnessed and felt tremendous opportunity for myself with doing this podcast and be able to do these interviews with people. So I feel very grateful for the opportunity for that. And I'm very hopeful for the future. Because I would have already been laid off before from work, just from, because I'm in sales, and the nature of sales is, if you don't sell, you're the first one to go, right? And that's just the nature of the business. And because of that, what I've noticed is over the last few years, because of my background in sales, I've noticed that it's actually really truly at the core, not my personality. So what I'm realizing is I'm actually quite creative. And even though you can do some creative work in sales, not as creative as I can do with, let's say, a podcast or a blog or those kinds of things, right? This time during this pandemic has given me the time to really hone in on my creative craft and to see if, is this something that I'm, truly good at and what I really like to do. And so far I realized that it is. And it gives me
natural at it.
Yeah. And it gives me tremendous satisfaction to glean some wisdom from people that are either already where I want to be, or they just have a completely different way of looking at something than I do. It's truly remarkable to be able to get that, gain those, that different perspective from someone, because sometimes all it takes, like Dean Roberts said, is just one key idea. One key idea can change your life. And I totally believe that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Every time. It's just those little things.
Yeah. And where did you come up with the name or the nickname Orange Cowboy?
Okay. So in terms of marketing, that came to me from the people.
Oh yeah.
I spent the summer at a mediumship camp. Mediumship is when you connect with loved ones who have passed on and they're in heaven. It's a life after life. I was taking courses on how to do it more. I was born with the gift, but I was taught how to use it more professionally so I could just understand how to help people better. And I wear orange clothes because I'm a monk in a tradition from India, and also it's the color of joy for me. And I wear cowboy hats because it keeps the sun out of my eyes. And everything's orange, so people started saying, "Hey, the orange cowboy, the orange cowboy," and it made them laugh. And I said, well, "Cool, let's keep it. They love it. It's helping people be happy, so we'll call it the orange cowboy."
Right on. That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah.
And then for your how or when did you come up with your TV show, like on your website, Talking with Our Angels?
Oh, that was pretty cool. That was my angels were telling me that you're going to be doing a TV show. And one day, a guy I know, he said, "Hey, you should have a TV show." And I said, "I know. My angels keep telling me that. I'm just waiting for someone to bring it to me." He goes, "Well, I'm offering it to you. You could have a show on our network." And so that's how it got started. And of course, in like a lot of things in life, there's shift here and there, and I wound up actually having my own network, and I get to put the mission is to bring light to the world. And so I have comedy on there. I have a few original content shows. A friend of mine is doing a women's empowerment show. I have my show. I have a few little shows. I'm doing a show also, natural horse training, how to be a trainer actually without hurting the horses. That's a whole season. That's 13 episodes. So
wow.
I was away for 6 months this winter. 3 months I was in Trinidad and 3 months I was in Florida. And in Florida, we spent 3 weeks training, learning how to do this. So very exciting.
That's incredible. Yeah, because I remember you mentioning that. It's like, are you calling it the Horse Whisperer? Is it called?
Yeah, his episodes of the Horse Whisperer, and I figure because his show will only be 13 episodes, so I'm calling it Along the American Horse Trail.
That's right.
And because I hope I had such an epiphany being around the horses for 3 months, it's like I really want to. If it's in the cards for me, if that's for my highest good and the world's highest good, I could be living with horses, around horses my whole life. And so I'd like to travel around and meet different people with the horses and do shows about them and what they have to say. There's a guy, a farrier, who does natural hoof care. He doesn't put horseshoes on the horses. And I'd love to go back down to Florida and get some shows with him. Just there's all kinds of really. It's just people with horses. I just love being around people with horses. I feel like that's where we talked about before. Not feeling out of sorts. I feel like I belong when I'm around horse people.
So it gives you a tremendous sense of peace.
It does, and community. Horses are very healing. You've probably heard of equestrian healing and all that, and it's just something for me. It's really, really special. I used to teach riding as a teenager. When I worked for like 10 or so years in the city, I would go riding every Sunday in the park. But I haven't ridden really much in the last decade, and spend all that time there was like a wake up, like, wow. Even the horses that are pains in the necks, just to have them around, it's nice,
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's, it sort of goes back to your question. How do you, it's interesting, the question you asked, I would like to talk more about that because it's so important. We're doing everything we can, and yet we still feel like we're not, we're still out of sorts. We're not in the flow. We're not in sync. We're not aligned. And, I'll tell you, to be really honest, most of my adult life, I felt that way, even though I was following paths. When I was 18, I lost my parents in a car accident, and I had dreams about that happening for the decade before that. So when it happened, there was like this mystical awakening. Like that was 1972, and there was no yoga being taught in America except one show on public television. And that's so we had no discussion of spirituality, and yoga, and meditation. But when this happened, then it was just starting, and that's when I learned yoga, meditation, became a meditation teacher, and just trying to find my way from 72 to whatever. And there was always new things that you developed, but there was still always an inner longing, a little uncomfort, a little, I'm not quite there. Got to start looking again. And it's different now. I thought it was, but because now, there's so much available. There are people in the business world who are leaving 6-figure salaries to teach yoga, and barely.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot more available for people your age. The fact that you're telling me that there's still that angst or that searching, I think it's going to get easier and easier. Just do what you love to do. Pray, talk, be grateful. That's the other thing. And I think Dean probably told you this too.
Yeah.
Even though you're looking, there's two things. One is be grateful. Look for what you have. Be thankful for what you have, not what you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
But the other is also to say, okay, I'm looking. I need to find more. But you know what? I'm still okay. I'm okay as I am right now. The me that's looking is never going to change. That's the okay me.
Yeah.
But the development of my personality, my interests, that's going to grow because it's like a tree. A tree keeps growing, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's not missing anything. Love keeps growing. It keeps getting deeper. And so same with us. We keep growing. So shift away from, oh, my God, I got to grow into this, to look at all the joy and growth that I'm doing. And before you know it, the kind of goes away, even as you keep.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, that's really well said. I definitely feel like that. It's just a matter of continuing to go through those motions and continue doing what you're super passionate about, and something will come along the way, and you'll stumble upon more opportunity as you keep going.
As we're talking, I look out the window. There's a deer just staring at me.
That's hilarious.
But the thing is, we're like, if we can get back to our child memories, where we just did what we did, and we fell and we got up, and there was no terms for mistakes and looking foolish, and just get back to that. Experiment. I think a lot of us think if we're not somewhere, we're making a mistake, or maybe parents or our culture is telling us we're making a mistake. But we got to really just become child again, and make mistakes, because they're not mistakes. It's part of the fun. Kids jump around in puddles, and they didn't make a mistake. They didn't step in the puddle by accident. They aimed for it and they hit it.
Yeah. But that just goes to show, like, when you look at kids and the way they play and learn and stuff like that, then the one thing is, like you said, is like reverting back to that mentality. Don't overthink it. Just do it. That's the way kids, like the Nike slogan. My dad always told me when I was younger, he's like, Alex, he's like, don't think about it. Just do it. Nike slogan. And that kind of stuck with me for a long time, because anytime I'm like feeling unsure or feeling like, oh, am I on the right trajectory or whatever, I just always remember what my dad said about, just do it. Just try it. Just experiment with it. See where it goes. See where it takes you. And yeah.
Fortunate you got a good dad there.
Yeah. And would you say, as far as your brand's concerned, are wellness and consciousness and, really digging deep into your intuition and your gut and using it as a guide, are those like the main part of your brand?
Wow. The funny thing is the brand is, it's everything. Consciousness is one of those big $10 words, and I try to break everything down to be practical. And um, being aware, self-aware, aware, aware of your how how you work with people, how you take care, how you love yourself, how much you love others, which is an offshoot of loving yourself. How much you love spirit or nature or God in a real way, not a fearful way. Uh, because there's a term original sin, and I think the other side of that original grace. Because if we're made in God's image, God is God. So if we're in His image, we have grace.
Yeah.
So consciousness is a funny word. I try. I spent many years teaching enlightenment and this and that, and it's starting to come back as a good word, but it's a word that I try to take the mystique out of the dogma out of things. So, like if they say, "Oh, there's this holy tree in India," and they go, "Okay, well, why is it so holy?" Well, it has fruit that when you eat it, it heals everything. Okay, so it's not like they said this is some Holy Spirit and we worship this Holy Spirit. They're grateful for this wonderful fruit-producing tree. You know, the sun worshippers. Well, geez, the sun, it's the radiation. It kills viruses. It warms your soul. So yeah, I love the sun like a brother. Uh, so I think. I try to break things down to very real reasons. If something's just dogma and I can't figure it out, I don't really believe it anymore. I don't disbelieve it, but I don't buy into things dogmatically as much as I used to. So
Yeah.
enlightenment, be a good person. Love yourself, connect with spirit. Try. I think something bigger than yourself. That's probably the best way to talk about enlightenment. Like you're doing, meeting people and getting different ideas. You're stepping out of yourself, opening yourself to something bigger. That's a
Yeah.
form of consciousness raising.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it definitely is. And I like that when I feel like I'm in this kind of, trying different things, experimenting with, different strategies and platforms and to spread my message and my voice. It's always fun. It's intriguing and it helps you elevate yourself. Like you said, it does, without you even thinking about it. It just, because you're just trying something. Right. And it's like bringing me back to like when I'm a kid, when I just want to oh yeah, I'll try basketball or I'll try hockey or, I'll go here, I'll go there. That's kind of the way I've kind of carved my path in life is just, yeah, if I'm interested in something and I'm like, oh my God, I got to try this. Then I'm like, okay, that's a sign. I got to try it. So.
And they have four different paths to enlightenment. One is the knowledge path, those who read about it and they learn and somehow they sometimes get to it. Then there's those who help others, karma yogis. They do good karma, good deeds. Then there's those who are in service, those who serve humanity, which is still a little bit different than karma yoga. Service would be police, firemen, military, people like that, people who run to danger when it's there to help others. And then there's the devotional people, and they just love, and that would be your musicians. They don't have conversations about enlightenment. They play and they get high and they connect with spirit that way. And so my point is, when we talk about enlightenment, there's this commercial side, and this is probably why I've sort of got a little bit chilled on it over the years, put off by it, is that it became very commercial. There's just one way, use our mantra, pay us money, and you'll get enlightened. And there's just so many ways to get enlightened. And it goes just back to whatever's natural for you. And a little bit of all of those, I suppose. But like you said, you're more creative than sales. So you're that way.
Yeah, definitely. Because like, I feel when I'm creative, I'm able to really devote myself to my craft more, and provide more value. And that's the way, that's the way the world works, right? It's like your whatever your natural tendencies are, you got to figure out what those are and then hone in on those and then go all in on them, because it'll help you provide the most value to your customers, your clients, or and then building relationships with people.
Yeah.
It's just giving the best of yourself to the world, right? You're putting yourself in the best position to succeed and be feel like you're aloof. You're aloof. You're free spirited. You're in your flow.
Yeah, you're in your flow, and
yeah.
That term, "my cup runneth over." So when you're connected, when you're aligned with what you love to do, it overflows.
Yeah.
And automatically it spills over to other people. We don't even have to think about helping others. It just helps other people. And that's the natural way, because we come from a culture, particularly because of the Industrial Revolution. And even before that, here in the West, we had this, the people who came to the United States from other countries, they had a belief system that nature was something to be conquered, and it was separate from human. And that is a huge mistake, I feel, in some ways. Whereas the other cultures, indigenous cultures, it's a part of us. It's our Mother Earth, and everything is connected. And there's an expression: if you shake one piece of the web, whole web shakes. So, with the individuality of the Western is very good in that we can get so specific that technology can be created. Yet we must remember the other side of the pendulum of that, which is we're totally connected to everything, all one.
Yeah. Very, very holistic, like approach to life. Yeah. Because we do have that. Everything is connected and interrelated, whether we think it is or not. And that's what's so remarkable about life is you without even realizing it, everyone going through their day or going through the motions, like they're creating those connections. Everyone's creating connections daily, right?
Right. Yeah, connecting, and that's where we're really headed more into more and more connections, more and more harmony, more and more socializing, more and more constructive socializing, more and more play.
Yeah. I definitely feel like we're going back in a way to our prehistoric roots of like not entirely, but like in a lighter form. Like I believe in the future after this pandemic or post COVID-19, there's going to be a lot more people working from home.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot more people honing in on their craft and be able to experiment more with what they want to do, because I just feel like there's going to be a lot more leniency of employers and be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, you can work from home X amount, X days per week, or possibly even full time, depending on the kind of position you have. Yeah. And it's gonna completely open up a whole new way of life for people. And I mean, in a way, it already has. Like be able to create at home, work at home, and then still be able to go on a walk, or still be able to go places, do your errands during your work day. Like just getting that extra flexibility that everyone needs, right? Yeah. Or people that have families and they don't have as much time, so they as long as they still get their work done, or they in most cases they'll probably work longer for their employers, right? Yeah. So to me, it just makes more sense to do.
And all hours of driving and
cut the commute out. Just by cutting the commute out and doing virtual commuting, oh my God, that'll be huge for people, for a lot of families, especially.
The only thing is they got to figure out what to do with their kids, because that's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, because that's the one thing is going to be the kid. There's going to be a lot of kids in the background if you're on conference calls or client calls, and yeah, it's definitely different for sure. But I think it'll definitely create a lot more opportunity and a lot more happy people. Like people will be much more in a happier place, and when people are happier, they make better decisions, and when they make better decisions, they create that better lifestyle that they've always been wanting to do.
Great.
Yeah. But I think that's all the time for today there, Swami, and really appreciate you joining us today on the podcast, and got some awesome golden nuggets from you today, and really enjoyed talking with you. And And for just so our listeners know, what would be the best way to connect with you or get a hold of you if they want to learn more about you?
Sure. The easiest way is to go to orangecowboy.com. Orange, the color, cowboy, like the guy on the horse, orangecowboy.com. And that'll show you what my services and how I can help you, my books. And I teach one-on-one. I teach groups. I'll write on the internet. I've done that for a decade. So I love helping people. And I love helping people in groups too. And if anybody, especially these days, if you really want to figure out how do I get to a job that I love, or how do I, what's my life purpose, or how do I find a job that I can make? What's a talent of mine? Then that's right up my alley, and I can help you. I'm all about quick solutions, not come to see me every week for 10 years.
Yeah. No, for sure.
One time, two times, and you've got what you need. You might come back for advanced work, but not for the issue. We've resolved the issue right away.
Right on. That's awesome. Thanks for joining us today, Swami, and you take care.
Thank you, Alex. Wishing you joy.
Yeah, you too. Bye for now. I hope you all enjoyed this special guest series episode brought to you by RadioGuestlist.com. Again, this is your host, Alex Muir. And if you'd like to learn more about kind of what I do and this podcast, Mindset podcast, you can check me out on my social media. I always post all my links of my social media in every episode that I post. And I share all my posts, my podcast posts on my LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. So you'll be able to check out the podcast links on there. So if you want to connect with me, get to know me, I will be answering messages on there if you have any questions. And again, if you want to hear more episodes like these, or if you have any feedback, please let me know on social media. You can send me a message, or you can feel free to follow my podcast, and be sure to keep checking in and see what I'm up to. I really appreciate everyone that listens to my podcast, and hope you guys all enjoyed, and see y'all next time. Take care.